in listen-only mode.
Hi, welcome to our webinar. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, hello, everyone.
I'm Elle Griffin. I'm the head of marketing at Everyone's Social, and this is Scott. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
You want to introduce yourself?
I don't know if I'm that interesting, but I'm Scott Brown. I work at a company called Nuvi. I'm wearing the hat, although it's black on black, so you might not be able to
I'll
quite
just
see
figure
what it
it
says.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are going to talk to you guys about influencer marketing today, which is a kind of fun topic, and I've actually run a few influencer marketing campaigns for various companies I worked for in the past, so that'll be fun to talk about. We have like 5 or so questions that are sort of the main questions about influencer marketing that we're going to be answering for you guys. But if you want to ask any of your own questions, you can put those in the questions portion of the GoToWebinar control panel thing, and we'll just be checking that periodically throughout. Is there anything else we need to start at the beginning and talk about?
Let's jump in. I think as we get going, the questions will start flowing as well.
Cool. So the first question is pretty general. It's what is influencer marketing? Scott, take it away.
I mean, we all kind of, if we're in marketing, we're in this sphere, we all kind of understand what an influencer is. That's really the first step, is understanding what an influencer is. And as I thought about this question, I thought, well, it could really be everything from someone saying, "Hey, have you tried out that new restaurant?" Right? Like they're sharing what they know to you to influence you, whether they are we just want you to enjoy the same experience that they had, or whether they have a vested interest where they get a percentage or they get a discount or whatever. But really, going down to the most basic concept, that's what popped into my head was an influencer was someone that was sharing something with you, either for benefit or not, that you trust and that would lead you to the correct purchase or the correct movie choice. I mean, sometimes people will say, "Oh, you need to go see that movie," and it's terrible. But that's really kind of the basic thing I got to of what an influencer was. Influencer marketing, it's that taking that same principle and really expounding upon it and really making it powerful for both your audience and your community, and as well as those that may not even know about you.
Yeah, and I think that the way people are using this a lot of times for marketing, and a lot of people are saying that influencer marketing is replacing traditional advertising because advertising is a brand saying, "Hey, look at how awesome I am," and that just doesn't really go very far. Nobody trusts a brand. But an influencer who talks about a brand and acts as kind of an unbiased third party has a lot of influence over a brand. And you can find this in a lot of ways, from the Kardashians mentioning a pair of jeans or a lip gloss that they use that suddenly sells out to Oprah mentioning a brand on Oprah's favorite things. One of my
Yeah,
favorite. What?
I have a picture for you.
Oh yeah, she's a great
Talk about Oprah,
influencer.
right?
That's a good picture.
I was gonna
Yeah,
make some like face sticks, but
yeah. One of my most, the things that I'm most annoyed about influencer marketing is The Bachelor's use of influencer marketing. I don't know if any of you watch The Bachelor, but there's this kind of phenomenon where a lot of the people that are on The Bachelor suddenly get Instagram famous, and all these brands start paying them to talk about their brands. So you'll see like flat tummy tea and gummy bear hair vitamins, and they'll be like, "This is the vitamins that I use for my hair," and they're getting paid for that. And so these are all kind of examples of brands that take advantage of these influencers and kind of incentivize them to talk about a brand for the benefit of a brand. So that's kind of what I see as like the broad examples of influencer marketing. But that leads
yeah,
me to my next question. Unless, did you have something you wanted to add, Scott?
I had one quick example. I just finished reading a book called Shoe Dog about Phil Knight and the story of Nike, and what I found super interesting about it, it's an excellent book, is that he is not a marketer. He's an accountant, and he at the beginning of the early stages of Nike, he is struggling to really grasp marketing. Like, what is marketing doing? And they're building their shoe, and their shoe is blue, and it's got a white swoosh on it, and it's selling okay. It's selling, it's doing all right. And then he mentions in the book, I've got a really great picture here that that really starts influencer marketing. I mean, I don't know if it started it, but this is a Farrah Fawcett. I'm going to get a little bit further away. There we go.
Wow.
Farrah Fawcett wearing these classic white Nike Cortez with a red swoosh, and he talks about how when that happened, when she wears these shoes on Charlie's Angels in this episode, she's riding a skateboard. This model and this shoe, they couldn't keep it on the shelves. It just instantly sold. Instantly, everyone was talking about it, and it made him a believer in the power of influence and the power of marketing, and not just in the power of good business decisions and how do the numbers work and sales. It was more marketing influence and the power of distributing that to a broader network.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I love that model of Farrah Fawcett. I mean, you see the same thing happening today with anything Michelle Obama wears suddenly is selling out at J. Crew and everything. So there's this kind of, rather than latching onto brands, I also think this is an interesting phenomenon because it's something that we've changed the way that we follow people. We
Mm-hmm.
used to kind of follow brands. We would, like anything that Nike came out with, or like anything that a certain brand produced, we'd be like brand loyal. But now we're almost not brand loyal anymore. We're loyal to a person. We're loyal to, I will buy anything that Olivia Palermo says she uses on her hair because her hair is the most beautiful hair I've seen. Or same with Jennifer Aniston. Like I researched the crap out of all the skincare products Jennifer Aniston uses because I just think she has the perfect skin. So we see these kind of, and my husband follows all these snowboarders on Instagram, and like the second they get this new cool snowboarding gear, he's like, that's the kind I need. So it's like not this following everything a brand has, but following a certain person and then believing that whatever they say is, worthwhile.
Yeah, that's I mean, really, that takes us right into the next question that I wanted to focus on was how do you use influencer marketing in a B2B setting? And I really think it's more a P2P, right, person to person, and especially with influence, we're yes, you can influence a business or a brand, but you're really going to influence the people inside of that business or brand. And that's really the power of influencer marketing. I have another picture.
Yes.
Whether you love or dislike, I'm not going to use the word hate. Whether you love or dislike this person in this picture, just close your eyes and think of all the influence that this person has when they talk or when they even tweet out, right? And I use Donald Trump specifically because, again, whether you like him or whether you dislike him, your business or your brand and the people that you're talking to, your community, you have Donald Trumps in your business or your brand. You have people that are either going to influence you for the greater good or influence you for the bad. And we need to find those. We'll talk a little bit about that, finding the influencer, but understanding that you're talking person to person. And by understanding who your influencers are for good or for bad, talking good or bad about you, that's where the power is in influencer advertising, is knowing them and understanding them.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of tack on to that as far as B2B goes, the influencer changes. We're not looking at bloggers, fashion bloggers, and things like that. We're looking at employees and customers and C-level executives and those kind of people that become the face of the brand. I mean, if you think about like Mark Benioff of Salesforce, like he has a tremendous Twitter following and he tweets about everything, politics, what's going on in his life, to definitely business stuff. And I think that that's a big reason that Salesforce has been super successful. because they have this key influencer who can influence millions of people by one tweet. So I think that with B2B, the target and the campaigns are the same as running a B2C campaign, but the influencers are different. Like who you're actually choosing to promote the brand is less of, a blogger, or, nobody's gonna um, go blog about like Salesforce as part. I mean, people do, but people that follow those blogs are generally the early adopters, and they're not going to be, the layman or lay marketing person that's going to be the one making the purchasing decisions. So to reach those people, you need to be part of their day-to-day life. You have to think about your target market, and for Everyone Social, where I work, we're targeting people that are in marketing and sales and HR specifically. And so we have to think like, what are the marketing people reading? What are the sales people reading? What are they watching? How do you reach them? And, I'll be honest, I'm a marketer and I don't read a lot of like marketing specific blogs. So
Yeah.
how are you going to reach me? I mean, I am on LinkedIn. I am on Twitter. Those places I follow all kinds of interesting influencers. I follow CEOs of a lot of companies. I follow a couple companies that I think are really awesome, like Movely Go, things like that. So you kind of follow more lifestyle like personas and people. So and people that, as part of a lifestyle, they're not just tweeting about marketing. Like I'm going to get bored super fast of somebody that's just talking about marketing all the time. And I'm on Twitter. I don't spend all my waking hours tweeting about marketing. I do respond to Donald Trump on occasion when he tweets. I do, get in conversations and engage people. And I do talk about fashion from time to time because I love that. And I do talk about marketing, but it's as part of a mixture of things. And so it's finding those people that your customers are following in your industry when it's with B2B. So and I think that if you're trying to find those influencers in a B2B company, you want to look first at who are the influential people in my employees, who are the influential people of my C-level executives, and who are the influential people among my customers. I think that's like the first place to start.
Yeah, you might think, those of you out there listening, that Elle and I planned this completely, because my next picture is all about your circle, right? Who are the people in your circle?
Coordinated.
It really is. It really comes down to you and your community and your people. Whether, like we talked about personally, the things that you follow, the things that you're interested in. But as a business, like if you're doing B2B, be involved and interested in the things that your circle is interested in. If your circle is, again, involved in the marketing industry, there's a good chance that they're going to also love the Super Bowl coming up, because there's advertisements. It's all about product. It's way more consumed, and there's other things like that you definitely will be able to find out about your audience, and join those conversations, and know your circle more than better than they know themselves on occasion.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you have to be aware of your circle and your customer circle as well, which is definitely an exercise to figure out. But I think that that's like the most beneficial thing you can do to start out with the influencer marketing, which is great. We talked a little bit about it, but our next question is how to find influencers. Did you want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, or?
I have a couple of examples, and then I have a shameless plug, of course.
Yes.
But my biggest thing is you have to consume. Personally, if you really want to know who the influencers are, you need to consume. You need to understand. You need to follow. You need to attend the Twitter chat. You need to watch the shows that your audience is watching. If you want to be able to create the right message for your audience, make sure you're watching the TV shows or the movies, or you're consuming the podcasts, or you're reading the books, the things that your audience is going to be talking about. I know I shared a picture of Farrah Fawcett. I mean, I wasn't born yet when that was all going down, but I've been told I have an old soul, and so maybe I need to find people that also have old souls and that talk and communicate to things similar to me and my personal brand. But that would just be an example of finding influencers through consuming. Now, the other thing I have a couple examples here of how Nuvi can help you find specific influencers surrounding either your conversation, your industry. And the first one is something I'm pretty passionate about. I don't know if many of you saw the latest release of this next Star Wars movie. The title, they're calling it The Last Jedi. So we decided to jump into that conversation and find out who's really talking about The Last Jedi, who really are some of the top influencers in here. Again, you need to find out what source they come from. So I don't. This is going to be really ghetto, but I don't know if you can see there the different sources that we had. The top one is Twitter, of course, but some of the other sources that you might not super expect. We have Instagram, Automatic, Tumblr is a really big source. So again, you're trying to find influencers. You need to know where they're talking about you, whether that's on LinkedIn or whether that's the different conversation sources. And then something I found interesting in the top influencers here, you can kind of see the top influencers surrounding The Last Jedi, because there's one down here at the bottom that I didn't know what AFP was. And so I thought, if they're in the top 10 of influencers, I probably should know who they are. And I click on it and find out that they're a news agency in France. And they're in the top 10 influencers of people talking about The Last Jedi. Maybe there's conversation across the sea, right, across the water, that needs to be associated with my brand and my conversation. And this can range from, large topics like The Last Jedi to anything about your industry or brand. If you're a company that builds and maintains swimming pools, or maybe you're a company that is starting a chain of restaurants, or you have a restaurant that you want to know everyone that's talking about Valentine's Day coming up and the restaurant that they're trying to choose for Valentine's or specific Valentine's deals. You need to understand who's talking about those things, what their concerns and problems are, and you can create the right messages to solve those problems and concerns.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also worth mentioning demographics, and I think that is something that has probably been talked about to death in the marketing world is demographics. So I don't want to get too crazy about it, but I think that what can be interesting is if you take a look at your existing customers, what do they all have in common? And one thing that I started noticing when I started taking a look at our customer base is when we have a customer that's in marketing, it's probably 80% of the time a woman. And when our customer is a salesperson, it's probably 80% of the time a man. And this, is not to say that there can't be crossover and that there's not difference, but there is a big difference in marketing to women than there is to marketing to men. And if you, I'm not going to talk about golf this is coming off really sexist, but I'm not going to talk about things that are predominantly male-influenced things to a marketing audience if my audience is primarily female. I used to work at Coors back in the day, and they always said that, some groups got really upset and said, "Why aren't you marketing your beers to women? Like, we watch these ads and they're clearly marketed to men, women drink beer too." And they said, I was in on some of their branding meetings at the time, and they said that the reason why they marketed towards men is because when they found that when they did these ads that were targeted towards men, the women still wanted to drink it because they still saw something that was really interesting. If they marketed it to women, suddenly the men would say, "Oh no, this is a girl's drink," and they wouldn't want to drink it. So it was like a difference in how the two genders perceived the product based on how it was marketed. So it's interesting to take note of those things and say, hey, if you're targeting towards a primarily female audience, talk more about, things that women really love. And there's a couple companies that do this really greatly, like Levo League is one of my favorite websites, and it's about women in business. And it talks about kind of all of the things relevant to women in business. So what to wear to work, what to like, how to present, how to go through negotiations, how to, um, how to like deal with certain kinds of bosses and how to get into certain industries. It really covers all of kind of the working world for women. And I think that that's really interesting because that gives them a unique influence over people that are probably a great target for us who, have a similar demographic. So I think it is interesting to look at demographics of your existing customer base and say, how can we actually market to these people that in a way that's more relatable and not just talk to them about here's the coolest latest thing about marketing and here's the coolest latest thing about sales. Like be specific, talk about all the world around, the people that are in your demographic.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, we look at our Google Analytics a lot on our website. I'm sure everyone does, but better understanding your audience, Google Analytics can really break it down for you. Again, we in our here in at Nuvve we have a large audience of technophiles. I believe they label them as shutterbugs, people that are sharing, communicating through their phones or devices, movie lovers. Again, knowing the audience. Google Analytics is a very good resource for understanding that better.
I got a question that was what was the website I just mentioned, and it's levoleague.com. And I think I'm going to type in the website for you. I think it's levo.com, levo.com. And if it's not, you can just Google Levo League. It's 2 words. It's really good. Let's see. There we go. And I'll write it out too. Okay. So I think we talked about a lot of great stuff on how to find influencers. So how do you structure an influencer marketing campaign? That's a good one.
I think we kind of jump into that with understanding your audience. Again, as we understand that audience, we better can start structuring that campaign. Some of the things I wrote down, and you feel free to jump in here about this, is understanding again who your audience is and who your influencers are. Maybe you don't quite know who your influencers are, but as you start to understand your audience, you can definitely match up some specific influencers for that industry. Again, you're going to want to know where. I mean, these are the what is it, the 5 W's, the who, what, when, and where, and why. But you're going to definitely want to understand where is your audience? Is it different channels, different social channels? Is it locally here? I went to a conference this last summer. It's called the AEJMC. It's for journalism and mass communications professors and professionals. And I thought, what would be the best way to communicate to these professionals? What would be something that would be influential to them that they would be interested in? And I thought, well, that could come in and either talk about their book or even just sign copies of their book, things like that that would understand the audience, that you can match up that specific person or influencer there. What do you think about the 5 W's? I kind of skimmed over them there kind of quickly. But
About the what?
the 5 W's, the who, what, when, and where in structuring your campaign.
You know what? I am kind of not into those old school marketing techniques because I really think they only get you so far. I mean, there's people are much more in depth than we give them credit for. And I will never forget going to a business dinner recently with a bunch of our customers. And one of them started talking about a psychic that she had visited. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I went and saw the same psychic. And then we got into this huge discussion about psychics, which you would normally never happen on a business dinner. And it's just like funny and fun. But it's like a touch point that makes you have something in common with somebody. And so I think when you just focus on the W's, you're focusing on almost only like the superficial elements, and it doesn't like allow you to go any deeper. And you kind of need to be able to go deeper, like I'm saying with Levo League, where you touch all the parts of not just career, but being a woman and all this stuff. Like you kind of need to go deeper into like okay, who, what, where, when, why, but like, what are their interests? Like, who do they follow on Instagram? What are people doing during their
Mhm.
workday on social media? I think those are the questions that are more specific that I think are better to look at. And when we're trying to find, this target, I don't know.
Yeah,
What do
no,
you
I
think?
love that. I love that. We're so much more accessible too now than we ever have been, and there are things that we tell the world about ourselves, whether it's through social media or our professional profile or where we come from. But there's so many more areas that we can definitely dive into and better understand the individual or the persona. Um, if you dove into my Instagram account, you would see I follow a lot of design, like home design, interior design things, and that's something I'm extremely passionate about. And as you see those things, and you better understand who I am as an individual, and who what would influence me to do a certain thing or position. But there definitely are a lot more sources and resources that we can use to really better understand and describe the people that we're trying to find.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a good example would be, I did marketing for Whole Foods for a little while, and we had to run an influencer marketing campaign. So when you think about who is the target market for eating at Whole Foods or buying groceries from Whole Foods, it's actually pretty broad. You can just be like anybody that likes to eat quality food, which can encompass a lot of different kinds of people. Or anybody who wants to go eat from the hot bar at lunch, and that's also a lot of
Yeah.
different kinds of people. So when I was creating an influencer marketing campaign, what I wanted to look at was I started with a group of people that might be into those broad categories, but also in more defined silos. So one silo I looked at was the fitness bloggers. So people that were CrossFit instructors, Pilates instructors, yoga instructors. I looked at all like the influencers in that area, and we're like, okay, these people are eating at Whole Foods because it's healthy, but so they're probably also into fitness, and so I'd look at all those people. I would also look at fashion bloggers, but people who are influenced by eco-friendly fashion or fashion that was sustainable for them and better for the environment. So people that were in the fashion industry in that set. I also looked at people in different dieting communities, Whole 30, Paleo, things like that are broadcasting their challenges and what that looks like on their Instagram accounts. And so I kind of looked at silos within that broader demographic, found the influencers being those that had the most following, the most engagement on their Instagram accounts. And then once you find and identify those people, you have to say, okay, how can I um, incentivize those people? What can I give them? What benefit can I give them so that in return, they want to talk about me and our brand in Whole Foods, right? So for us, what we did was offer them all discounts to Whole Foods. And in return, we would just say, like, when we have a promotion coming up, like, if you wouldn't mind coming into the store, taking some pictures and posting about it. So we would have like a supplement sale, for example, and we would say, okay, I would email out all of our bloggers and say, there's a supplement sale on Friday. If you guys will all post about it, that would be great. And they would be like excited to, and they would all come in and get their supplements and take pictures of it. And they would post that on social media, and we would get a ton of new people coming in for the supplement sale. So it's to me, that's like the general structure of a campaign, right? Picking the influencers,
Yeah.
incentivizing them, and then activating them. And so, but we did get one question from Ted who said, do you offer influencer marketing as a service, or do you have an influencer measuring tool? And we both do. So it might be a good time to talk about that, is like, how can you make this easier on yourself? And I know for Everyone Social, basically what we do, we're a professional news reader that connects to all of your social media accounts. So if you're, for example, at Everyone's Social, we have a bunch of employees, and all of our employees are on at the Everyone's Social app. And we connect it to a bunch of different RSS feeds. So Levo League, for example, we connect it to our company blog, we connect it to industry blogs, relevant demographic blogs that people at our company like. All the employees can add their own things to follow, like Twitter handles they love, or I have like a bunch of fashion blogs on there that I follow. So that when you kind of get in the morning, all the employees can read about all the stuff that they love, and then they have their social media accounts. They can just click on it, and then immediately it sends out to all of their following via Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever they want. And so that kind of can make the influencer marketing easier, because you can essentially instantly use all of your employees as influencers. So like Dell, who's one of our customers, when they get on, they have 10,000 employees or something like that, crazy. And so when they plugged all their employees in there and suddenly started releasing content about different promotions, their employees were spreading that to hundreds of thousands of more followers than they would have gotten if just the brand channel had tweeted it out. So that's one of the way we use that. And I know Newbie has, a lot of support in this area as well. So if you want to talk about that, shameless plug time.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it. That's part of the situation, is that we're trying to find our audience, and we're trying to solve the problems and questions that they might have. And like I shared the example of Star Wars, we're able to monitor and track hashtags or keywords, industry specific. You can follow competitors. You can follow different conversations and understand who the top influencers are. You can narrow it down based on location. You can narrow it down based on different things, so that you really can dial in who your influencers are and who your influencers could be. Again, I mentioned the Donald Trump thing. Everyone has people that are influencing their business or brand, whether for the good or for the bad. And to better understand who those people are, or the conversation is, let's, for example, say you have someone that's extremely passionate about facial hair and making sure that their face is groomed, and you're opening a barber shop or a salon. You need to make is know those people and reach out to them, get them communicating, talk to them, and see, like, work out things that you can find out that how they can be associated with you, organically, inorganically. Influence is influence, and by understanding and knowing those things, that's how you're going to win. And Nuvve can definitely help out with that. But again, consume first. Dive into your social channels. Dive into your community, and better understand your business, your brand, or maybe you're an agency and you have a new client, and you need to find out how that client, what influencers or who's talking about that industry and that client. Dive in first, really get a good feel first, and when you need the professional tool, Nuvve is definitely there to help you find those influencers and those conversations, and we love Everyone's Social, because again, you're able to pump those conversations and things that matter to your audience, and share it through your company and through your brand, and really be influential and thought leaders in your industry and your company. So those are definitely very powerful tools and options that you have as you continue to grow in your marketing career. So.
Yeah, and so if you were going to use them together, you would, in creating an influencer marketing campaign, you would essentially use Nuvve to identify all the influencers and content and everything that's being said and listening. And then you would use Everyone's Social to kind of populate that and then spread that information out to all of your influencers, and then also be able to report on that. So to see like how many influencers promoted and how many clicks they got and all of that. So they would be kind of a good tag option. We did have a couple questions about this as we were talking, so let's try to answer those really quick. So Jen said, do the influencers tag their posts as promotional or use the hashtag ad? In B2C, I know you have to use the hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored if you are promoting a company and that paid you for it. It's truth in advertising. In B2B, it's a little bit different because we're using customers or employees. Usually they don't have to say anything because they're not really being incentivized. But some companies do have require that. So if you are a company that requires that of your employees, you might say like, my employees need to say hashtag work for Dell or something at the end, just so that that's clear. But that just depends on the company. Dennis said, does that work with customers also? I'm not sure what that was referring to. But yes, if you have customers, they can absolutely be affiliates and or help promote just like any influencer can. Ted asked, is Nuvi sentiment tracking, or can you measure the result of influencer efforts? That's what he says.
Yeah, definitely. What we like to do is we like to run campaigns with influencers, and we use specific hashtags, especially through social media. But you can use certain keywords as well. So even if people are writing blogs and maybe they're not quite promoting you on social media, they might be blogging about you. You can set up different we call them monitors, but different listening setups so that you're making sure to collect, understand all the things that people are being said. So, like for example, we have a quiz that we're sending out today. That we just a fun quiz we did about the Super Bowl food, and we have a hashtag associated with it. We just call the hashtag Nuvi Snacks. So as people take this quiz, they get to find out what Super Bowl food they were. I am a veggie platter, apparently. I'm the least likely to have a veggie platter, but that was the food I got. And when they share that, it shares the hashtag Nuvi Snacks, and so we'll be able to follow, monitor that conversation, and we might not have a large audience that is promoting the Nuvi Snacks hashtag, but you can imagine the power that is when, like for example, one of our clients is Times Square in New York, and they did the hashtag ball drop over the New Year's Eve celebration, and people were sharing and tweeting and celebrating the new year and using that hashtag ball drop. Well, throughout that, you can have influencers that are using that hashtag. You can follow that hashtag and understand, track, and monitor that and communicate during it as it's going. So long answer, but yes, the answer is yes. You can track and set up those campaigns so that you know exactly how many people come through your efforts, which is always something that we're trying to prove in marketing.
Okay, awesome. So Taylor says, have either of you run into FTC issues when offering influencers discounts / rewards in exchange for social media posts? Any advice?
I have not. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry not to be able to help out there.
I don't think it's like a well-governed space, but even if it is, it's pretty easy to avoid. I mean, if you are incentivizing, so in a B2C scenario, for example, you have to explain to all of your influencers they have to use the hashtag sponsored or hashtag partner for that specific example, and then so they'll just have to follow up with that, and that's really all you need to be FTC compliant. There in B2B, because you're not incentivizing, it's not as much of a problem. And so I just highly doubt that there would be a problem. I think the only thing I can think of is if you are writing about it on a website or something, and like, for example, if you're a channel partner where for every referral you get to a business, you get a cut of the sale, which a lot of partners do. You know, partners that sell AT&T products Apple gets a cut of Apple products sold at Verizon. You know, there's things like that set up. So if you have something like that set up, you just have to have a disclaimer on your website that says something along the lines of, I receive commission for every sale, or something along those lines. There, you can look up affiliate disclosures is what it'd be called for a website. But I've never had any issues. So, and then Dennis clarified. So he had earlier asked, does that work with customers also? And he said to employees distributing. Does that work with customers also to employees distributing?
Maybe he's referring to everyone's social and being able to share your
Oh,
selected content to your customers as well.
right. Yes. So yeah, you can absolutely have, you can set it up however you want. So you can set it up, an everyone's social app up so that all of your employees are in it, but you can also set it up so that all of your customers are in it, or you can set it up so that all of your partners are in it. So we have some examples. For example, Sienna uses it for business development. So they have all of their partners in there. So their partners love it because they can log in every day and they just connect all of their own stuff that they want to share, their own blogs, RSS feeds, Twitter, things that they want to follow. And then they connect to their social media accounts so they can share it out. But also then every now and then into their feed pops something from Sienna and like, here's how to, promote us more and things like that. And they can get access to that. So it absolutely can be used for whatever population you have of influencers, and to like be injecting them with constant content and information and then allowing them to share it out. And then of course you get to see the results of who's sharing the most and how many engagements you get and how many clicks you get and all of that, so you can see the success of the program. Pete says, what is the best way to know where your audience is spending their time online outside of social platforms?
That's a really good question. I would lean on the kind of the higher view of Google Analytics, of people visiting your website, because the people visiting your website, you can separate them obviously into your customers as well as those that are just visiting to research or to read, and that'll give you again a really high level view. You'll see that they are movie lovers or technophiles. But there are things that you can really understand about those specific things. Well, if they're technophiles, maybe they're visiting these other websites and these other conversations. Maybe they are communicating through Twitter and not through Instagram. Maybe they are, or maybe they're on Reddit and not on Twitter. There definitely are those things. I would talk to them. I would find someone and talk to them specifically. Maybe even 5 people or 10. Talk to your customers as well. Get to know them, know the questions that they're asking or that they asked leading up to purchase. But those would be the sources where I would go, both high level as well as in depth, to better understand your audience and your people.
And I would add, and these are the bane of my existence, but networking events. Because you get a bunch of people that are in the same job category. I go to marketing networking events all the time, and you get a bunch of people with the same job. If that's who your customers, your target customers in that job role, go to the networking events that customer goes to and just start talking to people, and you'll find out what people are into, and you can learn those things really quickly. So just by talking to people in person. So I think that's the best way because there's only so much analytics can get you and online and all of that. So, and everybody, like we've said a million times, is so multifaceted that they're not going to be just sitting there reading marketing information all day. They might like take a break to look at beard oils or whatever you're talking about, Scott.
Can you tell? Can you tell? It's really helping. It's really grooming it together.
Yeah. So you have to kind of look at, and another way is to look at what do you do? Chances are, if you're marketing to somebody, you're a little bit in touch with them, even just on a personal level. So when you're at work, and your salespeople or marketing people are trying to get at you, what works for you and what doesn't, and what sites do you visit and what social accounts do you visit during your workday. Like that's a great way to look at, what are you doing? Chances are other people are too.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question from Christina. She said, should you limit yourself to certain social media channels when working with influencers, or should you embrace all social media channels where your influencers are socially active? I love this question.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, okay. So I have a theory on this. First of all, if you're B2C, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat, and that would be age specific. So if you're B2C, older audience, Facebook, medium to young age like me, Instagram, young youth, Snapchat. If you're B2B, you're going to be wanting to look at LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And that's not really, I would say maybe a little bit age dependent on Twitter, but it's not really true. I think both LinkedIn and Twitter have kind of all age groups represented. So I think that's really where you want to focus. You can certainly do other things, but like for example, it's not going to do everyone's social any good to be on Instagram because we're not B2C. We don't have like a tangible product we can take pictures of. We can produce all the lifestyle photos we want. It's just not going to resonate with people that are on Instagram. So I think that knowing your channels based on who your target is really important.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about that. Uh, you spreading yourself out thin that way, unless your marketing department is massive and well funded, which I don't believe a lot of marketing departments are. Um, you really spread yourself thin, and each platform really has a specific way to message.
Mm-hmm.
And so by trying to hit all of the bases and trying to create things for one thing and then trying to recreate it for another thing, it really it shows when you're trying to convert a Facebook post into a tweet, or you're trying to turn, it's easy to see through those things. And so definitely narrow it down and start simple. Hit your specific target audience with that exact message that's created for that exact platform. That would be my recommendation. But I love everything Elle was saying there about um, your demographic and your age group and the specific channel, whether B2C or B2B. That's perfect.
Yeah, and I think to Scott's point, you absolutely have to um, be relevant to that channel. So if you just have a lot of channels and say you come out with a blog post and then you post that blog to Twitter and then to Facebook and then to Instagram and then Snapchat, all those channels, like nobody wants that. Nobody wants the same message pushed on a bunch of different channels. You have to cater them specifically. I mean, this is what Snapchat has done so well, right? You go on the Snapchat Today page, and there's a bunch of things that are super unique to Snapchat, even like, People Magazine's on there with all these really cool videos or red carpet scenes from the Oscars and things like that. And that is specific to Instagram. They're not showing a video from the Oscars like on their Twitter account, or, they might show on Twitter like what somebody said the designer of her dress was, or they might show on Facebook a Facebook Live video with somebody interviewing a celebrity. So you have to really cater to that channel specifically and think about what that channel needs. So really the less channels you have and the more specific the content for that channel, the better. So that's just what I would say on the subject. But
Yeah.
so that was the end of the questions you guys have. The last question on our agenda was just if there's any examples of successful influencer campaigns we want to talk about. It's always good to have examples.
Do you want to lead off, or would you like me to show one?
You can start.
I have a fun one. I knew we would be getting toward the end of this chat, and so this one, at least for me, again, I really like design, interior design, and there's a local furniture company that I follow and shop at, and they noticed that a lot of their audience was specific to a certain blogger here in the valley, or here in where I'm from, and I don't know if many of you have heard of the Allison Show, but she
Yes.
started creating a cookie. She has a sugar cookie recipe project that my wife and I have purchased, and we make and decorate amazing sugar cookies. But she has expanded her sugar cookie influence into really talking about all things awesome, everything from just daily life to she hosts these dance parties. So anyway, these um, two different audiences, two different businesses. Honestly, they teamed up and they've recently created. I have a picture as I did my pictures here. So this is Allison. This is the Allison Show, and then this is the YouTube presentation they created, and they decorated Allison's house, presented by Gatehouse, and I really like this. I mean, obviously, it hits a lot of the things that I'm passionate about. Um, the furniture store that I like, as well as this Instagram influencer that communicates. I mean, I talked to her and she laughed and she's like, "I love my male followers," and I felt like I was probably one of only a few, but I it's a really a great example of a small business recognizing that there's an influencer that they can team up with and they can produce some really great content that would one drive business for them to the furniture store to their business, as well as really align them with their audience. And that look, we're in touch. We know who these people are. We know who the influencers are here in the neighborhood or in the community. And I really like that example of influencer marketing for this specific industry.
I love that Paige wrote and saying, that's so funny. Allison's one of our influencers too. We share
Awesome.
influencers. Um, I wanted to add another interesting example because even though this is a B2C example, I think it's really, really relevant to B2B, and this is Cotopaxi. Cotopaxi is an outdoor wear company that's headquartered here in Salt Lake City. Um, but they use, instead of relying on these influencers, they use their customers as influencers, just like B2B does. And so one of the things that they did was they hosted this huge event for all of their customers and fans, basically, and it's called Questival. Some of you guys might have heard about it, but it's basically, it took place in some like, yeah, they had I think they had like 15 of these events last year. And basically, it's a 24-hour scavenger hunt in your city. And the rules are you come to the beginning, the starting line with all of your friends. You have like a little group, and they give you like a bunch of free Cotopaxi gear for signing up. I think it was like $60 to enter into the Questival. They give you like a Cotopaxi backpack that's like really cool looking, and they're all different colors, and like a flat bill hat and all this stuff. And then they say you have to go out and find these things in your city. You have to take a picture of you with them, and you have to use the hashtag Cotopaxi Questival or something like that. So what ends up happening in 24 hours, they generate 30,000 posts to social media about their brand because suddenly all these people that are just regular people are going around the city taking a picture with some cool, unique part of their city, wearing all like kitted out in Cotopaxi gear and using the Cotopaxi hashtag. So it's like genius because they basically just created this event that's super fun, and they generated all this social media buzz, and suddenly everyone's like, oh, Cotopaxi, what's that? That's so cool. I saw this person with one of my friends that I follow on Instagram posted about it, and like talk about generating social media buzz with a customer. That's great. So I think that in the B2B world that really translates, because if we can host an event or something for our customers that's share worthy, if you even in little things, like if you go to Salesforce Dreamforce, you'll see that they'll have people will host these events and parties where they'll have like contortionists and dancers like feather boas and things that seem not really relevant. But if you can create these kind of experiences and events with social sharing in mind, like how do we make this event worthy of people wanting to post about it on Twitter? How can we get all the people that come to this event or all of our customers that attend the event to post about this event? Like there can be ways to create fun campaigns about it that aren't just the basic, like, I mean, if you go to an event and there's a hashtag on the sign, like nobody's going to use that hashtag and be like, oh yeah, hashtag everyone social. Like you want to create some kind of event that they actually want to post and share about because it's so fun and intriguing and share worthy. So I actually think that's a funny share worthy is a good word to use because I've actually heard before people that are Instagram influencers will say, um, how do I choose what I'm going to do today? And they say, like, what is going to be share worthy? And so a lot of these people who are travel photographers or whatever, they'll think, what would be shareable on Instagram? It's not going to be me sitting at home today. It's going to be me going out and doing something like maybe I'll go on this crazy hike so that I can take a picture and post it to Instagram. And it might be a silly reason to go on a hike, but that's what it is. You need those incentives to get people to post, really. So is there anything else you wanted to add, Scott? I think that's all we had, really.
I really like that. I think we covered some of the really good questions surrounding influencer marketing, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us. My email is just scott@nuvi.com, or you can tweet at us at nuvi, and reach out in any other way. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'm Scott Brown at nuvi on LinkedIn. So.
Yeah, and I'm Elle Griffin. My first name is spelled ELLE, so it's not the letter. And you can find me at l@everyonesocial.com for my email address. I'm also on Twitter at Miss Elle Griffin, just MSELLEGRIFFIN. Everyonesocial.com to find more about the brand, and Everyone Social on Twitter as well. And we will follow up with all of you guys via email with just some further talking points and things we discussed. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.